of the State Police Command. The State Commissioner Adeyemi Ogunje Milusi disclosed this while presenting the freed captives to newsmen in New York.
To their home.
Festivities, the traditional institution in Kano is gearing up for a spectacular Durbar, which has been a long-standing integral part of Salah celebrations in the ancient city. Lawal Sallo Inwa reports that horse riders are still trooping to the popular Kurmi market to purchase horse accessories for the event.
Durbar, which comes twice a year, is a cultural practice for the past 100 years and is one of the attractive customs that made Kano unique not only in commerce but also a leading center of cultural activities in the northern part of the country. Year in, year out, Durbar involves horse riders procession who dress colorfully, attract spectators within and outside the country every year to catch a glimpse of the historic event. The traditional costume used by the horse riders provide chain of business activity to thousands of people in the state. NTA News camera lens captured some of their skilled artisans busy doing their trade ahead of the celebration. Muhammad Sufi of Soran Dinki and Aminu Adam of Yola say, despite the economic challenges, horse riders are still patronizing their products for the celebrations.
I am in this business for the past 70 years, since the reign of late Emir of Kano, Abdullahi Bayero.
Our products were taken to neighboring cities like Zaria, Katsina, Gombe, and sometimes even to Niger Republic.
Kulkul, an area in Kano metropolis, is the most popular in the business of making traditional regalia for the horse riders. The Salah Durbar will commence with Eid al-Kabir Durbar, followed by Daushe in the second day, with Nasara on the third day, while Fanisau to serve as completion of the festivities in Kano. From Kano, Lawal Sallo Inwa, NTA News.
Away from Salah preparation, now education. Kaduna State Government says plans are at advanced stage to make secondary education free as from next month. The State Governor, Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai, made this known at the commencement of his tour of local government areas in appreciation of the people's support to the ruling All Progressives Congress commitment to rebranding Nigeria. Muhammad Umar Ajingi reports.
The governor was in Zaria, Sabangari, and Soba local government areas, where he re-echoed the gains of the APC-led administration to include ongoing reforms in the health sector, agriculture and education. He said though some of the reforms might be initially painful, but are surely beneficial in the nearest future. The governor said the September date for the commencement of the free secondary school education in the state is to further accord equal opportunity to every child to acquire decent education.
Right now, we only have basic education that is free, but we're looking actively at making senior secondary education free. But as a minimum, even if we cannot afford to make it all free for the entire state, we are going to make girls' education up to senior secondary school level free from September this year by God's grace.
Before leaving Zaria, Governor Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai visited the camp chairman, Most Reverend Judge Jonathan Dodo, where they discussed issues affecting the state behind closed doors.
Civil leaders, whichever platform they ascend to the position of leadership, they will see themselves as parents to everybody, whether they voted for them or
NTA Nationwide coming to you live on the network service of the NTA. More to come after this timeout.
Hate speech is not a joke. It incites genocide and crimes against humanity. Most of Africa's civil wars are caused by hate speech from one tribe against another. We don't want it here. The Nigerian government stands firm against hate speech.
Under no conditions whatsoever should we tolerate or excuse or justify hate speech or hateful conduct of any kind, especially where such is illegal.
There's no doubt that the resurgent push for separatism as well as the rising cases of ethnic and religious disharmony are all traceable to the growing phenomenon of hate speech.
One nation bound in freedom.
Nigeria, one nation, one people.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
The significance of Salah celebration and national sacrifice in nation building is the focus this week on NTA Tuesday Live. It promises to be incisive and educative. Don't miss it.
Fake news which is shared for malicious purposes is a danger to our peace and security in Nigeria. Misinformation as fake news is a serious threat to our hard-earned democracy and promotes hatred and misunderstanding between our communities. We are all responsible for stopping the spread of fake news in its tracks. So, always check the source and credibility of any news item. Say no to fake news. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information.
Welcome back. Citizens of Zamfara State have attributed the incessant killings and destruction of property in the state to the collapse of the societal structures such as the traditional and conventional justice structures and the security apparatus. This came from a town hall meeting organized in Gusau by the Nigerian Bar Association, which had a high-powered delegation to assess the happenings in the state. NTA's Femi Okewo was on the team and now reports.
A visit to Gusau, the Zamfara state capital, and some of its major urban centers gives the picture of a very normal setting. Even a drive on the highways through Kauranamoda to Zurmi, a town about 30 kilometers to Jibia, which is on the Nigerian-Niger border, still paints the picture of normalcy with trading and agricultural activities going on well. But of these commercial spots and a little into the hinterland, the story is quite different. It is an endless tale of mindless carnage, banditry, and destruction by people who citizens themselves say now live above the law. As a way of collating facts about the happenings in Zamfara State, the Nigerian Bar Association, led by the president, Abubakar Mahmoud, organized a town hall meeting where all concerned parties spoke their minds on the situation, narrowing down on the failure of both traditional and governmental institutions to curtail excesses and impunity.
We attach religious sentiment, ethnic sentiments, and geographical sentiments to security issues.
If you are really working hard, why can't you collect the arms and ammunition from the bandits? You are able to go there and collect those arms and ammunition from them, but you come to us, those of us that are hunters, and come to protect our villages in the night, and then you arrest us, seize our guns, and leave us open.
The state government acknowledged the magnitude of the problem, but assured that everything was being done to stem the tide of the killings.
Nobody wants this situation in our state. So, but we have to close the gap. We must come together. We must join hands in the spirit of partnership and see how we can fight this problem.
The beauty of this palace does not reflect the lifestyle of those in it. In the last few months, it has been the tale of woes by those people who live in Zurmi and its neighboring villages. And Zurmi is just one of the tens of other villages that have experienced banditry in Zamfara State. The most pained is the Emir of Zurmi, one of the affected localities, who called for solutions in the face of the obvious problems staring Zamfara State in the face. President of the Nigerian Bar Association said that Nigeria as a nation must rise up to stop the spread of impunity and lawlessness, promising that the Nigerian Bar Association will make valuable recommendations to the government.
From all that has been said, it is very clear to us that this problem is multifaceted and has various dimensions, some of them pointing to failure of administration of justice, for which lawyers also have responsibility.
The visit to Zamfara State is the fourth of such visits by the NBA to troubled spots in the country under the.
Now, the All Progressives Congress APC has advised Nigerians to be wary of politicians whose personal ambitions supersede majority and national interests as the 2019 elections draw near. The acting National Publicity Secretary of the APC, Yekini Nabenar, gave the advice in a statement issued in Abuja. The ruling party urges Nigerians not to entrust the leadership of the country in politicians whose sole aim is treasury looting, who will return the country to an era of impunity and institutionalized corruption. The party advocates the need for the electorate to vote for people who will pass integrity tests and not to those who have litany of corruption cases hanging on them. It reiterates its call on the anti-corruption agencies to check the use of stolen public funds to finance elections. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in Cross River State has deployed more machines and personnel to various continuous voter registration centers across the country. This is part of efforts to check the recent surge witnessed at some units as the deadline for the exercise closes in. Umar Basi Edet monitored the exercise and brings update.
As the countdown to the end of the continuous voter registration exercise continues, some units in Calabar and some parts of the state have witnessed an upsurge. More electorates are seen in numbers waiting to take their turns, and this is not without its challenges.
They don't have enough workers. The crowd is more than the workers in there because people came here since 5 o'clock. Until now we are still here. They have not even gone far.
I want to transfer from Calabar South to Calabar North. I have come here more than 5 times now. They say the thing never come out.
In a swift reaction to tackle this surge, the resident electoral commissioner, Dr. Franklin Bria, said INEC has mapped out strategies to ensure a smooth exercise. He called on those yet to register to take advantage of the extension.
From the 1st of August 2018, our work schedule has changed. Our staff go to work by 9 a.m. and close by 5 p.m. And we work through all the weekdays from Monday to Sunday, both public holidays. So there's more time for people to register. So definitely, from what I have seen so far, in the next 3 days' time, we should be able to almost capture everybody.
For the electorate, the deadline extension is a relief and would allow more eligible persons to register. In Calabar, Umar Basedet, NTA News.
Youths in Gombe State have agreed that the Not Too Young to Run bill recently passed into law will give more room for youths and women to participate in the next general election. Fatih Hawal Haba reports.
Youths in their numbers marched from the Emir's Palace down to Pantami Stadium in support of the Not Too Young to Run bill that was signed into law, which gives youth the opportunity to run for all political positions in the country. Stakeholders at the event said it is time for the youth to participate in politics, especially women, to enable them contribute to the growth and development of the country.
The Ready to Run platform was actually signed into being by the president recently, and it has started, it has kicked, and we actually want to encourage the young people, to encourage women to come out and support this platform.
Organizers of the campaign said signing the bill into law is an encouragement to the youths, giving assurance of active participation in politics of their country, now that they have the opportunity.
We are not too young to run. We are too old to run away from responsibility.
The youth showcased their talent.
This is what we call.
In Gombe, I am Fatia Awal Abba, NTA News.
It's last-minute shopping for Eid al-Kabir in Ibadan. Fatai has details of these and other stories from that zone. Hello, Fatai.
Hello, Ima. Good to have you in Ibadan. Less than 24 hours to the celebration of Eid al-Kabir, residents of Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, complain of high cost of ram for the festival. Busolo Wuru has a situation report.
Demand for this animal is on the increase. There are different views to the use of ram in the observance of Eid al-Kabir.
is very, very, very compulsory because I'm a Muslim. So I have to buy it. I have no option.
You see a Muslim that wants to kill cow, you rather kill this one of this one, and one cow together. So,
however, on a visitation to some of these markets, many prospective buyers on site do not seem to be in haste in purchasing their choices.
This round, we used to bring them from Niger Republic. We bought from the border, so they closed all the border this year. That is why the ram is cost.
Prospective buyers, however, hope that the prices of the animal reduce before the Eid day. In Ibadan, Busola Owuru, NTA News.
Moving on, an annual ICT creative camp and competition for young teachers tagged Digitals 2018 has successfully come to an end at the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife. With a call on stakeholders to leverage on trending digital marketing tools to empower the youth. Correspondent Tope Alabi reports that the Director General of the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Malam Yakubu Ibn Mohammed, was honored with a special recognition award at the closing ceremony.
About 200 young techies between ages 8 and 18 drawn from across the nation participated in the 2-week camping exercise held at the Obafemi Awolowo University International School, Ile-Ife. Digitest's national coordinator, Mrs. Ibukun Odushote, said this year's theme, Selling Without Borders, was birthed on the realization that digital marketing had formed the backbone of the world's economy today. She said she was humbled by the achievements of previous Digitest beneficiaries, including a 20-year-old young man who posted pictures of his first car on Facebook and a fashion designer who showcased her works on social media using digital marketing platforms.
Our own desire is that it becomes of economic value, that this program that we've had with them would generate income for them in their various homes.
Highlights of the program include presentation of prizes to outstanding participants in the various categories of the competition. The Digitest team also honored its key partners, including the Director General, NTA, Malam Yakubu Ibn Muhammad. From Ile-Ife, Tope Alabi, NTA News.
Meanwhile, reactions have continued to trail the demolition of a radio station in Ibadan, Fresh FM, owned by popular musician Yinka Ayefele. Ayomiku Ajibola has an update.
The multi-millionaire radio station that was demolished by your state government around 5 a.m. in the early hours of Sunday morning was said to have contravened the state physical planning and development control laws. It will be recalled that the location of the Ibadan-based radio station known as Fresh FM has been the subject of controversy in recent times between the management of the station and the state governments. Residents and listeners of the radio station who trooped to the scene to sympathize with the founder of the radio station, Yinka Ayefele, could not hold their feelings.
I think it's a sad day for Oyo State. It's a sad day for press freedom.
This is a total negation of what democracy is, of what the rule of law is.
I believe that as a government, even if you have the right to do anything, it should not be done in the middle of the night. At least you should do it during the day where people will witness, if truly there's nothing to hide.
As a member of Oyo State of Assembly, as a progressive-minded person in that parliament, we are against this. The people of Oyo State are against it.
It's a very pathetic and saddening situation for the people working here and for the entire Ayefele's family.
This building cost 850 million, and we have about 150 staff working here. So do you mean they want to send those 150 staff to the labor market?
As at the time of filing this report, management of the radio station is yet to react to the demolition exercise. In Ibadan, Ayomiku Ajibola, NTA News.
Customs arrest containers with ammunition. Let's get details of this and more from our Port Harcourt Center with Mina as our guide. Hello, Mina.
respect. She's a hardworking woman. She's just trying her best.
Many times, these children go to bed with garri and drink for their supper without having hope for tomorrow's meal.
Sometimes if I go to school, I don't eat. I go on empty belly to school.
Touching life.
Thank you for staying with us on NTA Nationwide. The head of Civil Service of the Federation, Winifred Oyoita, has reiterated the commitment of the present administration to retire civil servants with full grace and respect upon attaining retirement through an efficient exit system. She stated this through the Permanent Secretary, Service Welfare Office, D.D. Wilson Jack, at the pre-retirement program in Abuja. Adebola Brusklin Sunday was there.
These are civil servants who are due for retirement in few weeks. In line with the Federal Civil Service Strategic and Implementation Plan, they have been trained in entrepreneurial skills, health and well-being, financial literacy and managerial skills. D.D. Wilson Jack said besides preparing civil servants for life after service, a feature of the program is the agricultural component, which keys into the economic recovery and growth plan of the present administration.
It is expected that the successful implementation of this program, therefore, in the mainstream federal civil service would be cascaded into other parts of the public service.
Some of the participants said they will no longer view retirement with mixed feelings, as they are encouraged to recognize that they have transferable skills that can be deployed into other ventures.
With the knowledge we have gathered, we can still go into the world and still use our hands and our energy to survive. We will not rely basically on our pension money.
I want to be a consultant at my ministry because I know that there's so many things that I can still do to ensure that the laudable program of the ministry is achieved.
Participants are drawn from all federal establishments across the country. Adebola Brooksland Sunday, NTA News.
Access to finance, low investment level, as well as poor soil health have been enumerated as some of the major challenges confronting small-scale farmers in Nigeria. This was reiterated by agricultural experts at a one-day program on a key thematic issue in Nigeria's agricultural sector, organized by the National Association of Nigerian Traders. Oyeyemi Ajayi has details.
Inception of the Buhari-led administration, more emphasis was laid on the need for Nigeria to shift from being a petroleum-dependent country to building other sectors, one of which is agriculture. Recently, an appraisal of extension service delivery in Benue, Nasarawa, Plateau, Katsina, Niger and Taraba states exposed a series of challenges confronting the small-scale farmers, with participants asking that major steps should be taken by government to correct them.
How we process agricultural output has been a challenge to the farmers. Most of the time, the processing is done manually, is crude, and so on and so forth.
This policy dialogue on key thematic issues on agriculture seeks to
which to our own mind, and in line with field survey that we have conducted appears to be relegated.
Now, as I'm speaking, we have a whole department of agricultural extension who is in charge of organizing and realizing with state to ensure that at least all the inputs or all the innovation that are coming from the research institutes and other allied institutions are made available to the farmers.
This policy dialogue is meant to recommend possible solutions to government towards improving the agriculture sector in Nigeria. In Abuja, Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
We now join our Port Harcourt Network Center for more reports on NTA nationwide. All right, looks like Port Harcourt is not yet ready. Let's continue from here. Factors militating against the effectiveness of eastern seaports in the country formed the basis of discussions on NTA's program Good Morning Nigeria. As part of solutions to ease the burden on Lagos Seaport, guests, among other things, urged the government to consider addressing the issues of draft and dredging of waters in the eastern port, as well as security concerns. Dennis Adenguloye reports.
It has become evident, according to experts in the maritime sector, that the Lagos model of carrying 80% of cargo is no longer sustainable, and guests identified critical issues that have rendered the eastern seaports moribund to the detriment of those in Lagos.
In this region, we have hydrocarbon and gas, that's the oil and gas. And we did over time see how the emphasis now moved over to the oil and gas sector. Now leaving the ports, commercial ports of Port Harcourt, One and Calabar, not being optimally used.
On the part of the ship owners, they also take into consideration the draft limitations. Now we are talking of economies of scales. So most of the shipping line deploy bigger vessels. And if those bigger vessels cannot access your port, definitely you will go to the next port.
The issue of dredging is cardinal to the failure of using the eastern ports.
Securing the eastern borders and cities was also a key issue that guests said need urgent attention.
Freight is very, very high when you want to take your cargo to eastern port, unlike Lagos where you have it cheaper. And the issue of insecurity, kidnapping of expatriates, and adoption. So these are many things that the government must look into before we can say Nigerian porters, we should encourage them to divert their cargo to eastern port.
What happened about the razzmatazz about concessioning the ports, bringing in private sector? Where is the private sector expertise?
They also identified inconsistent policies of successive governments as compounding the situation and called for implementable action plans that would provide more incentives to encourage importers to patronize some of the eastern ports. Dennis Adegunloye, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has directed the nation's armed forces and other security agencies to step up their game and see that the country is safe and secure for people to
reduced incessant attacks on communities across the country.
Not just me, but some other governors as well made it a point to thank him, Mr. President, and indeed the federal government in tackling the security situation in the country, especially in the recent past, where a lot of improvement has taken place.
The detail of the operations that brought about this peace, especially in Benue, Taraba and Zamfara states, as well as other ongoing operations, was what the security chiefs briefed the president at this meeting that lasted for more than 2 hours.
Of course, we made all our comments, especially the new operations in Benue, Zamfara, and of course Taraba. Operation Wide Stroke and Operation Charandaji. We gave him the extent of successes in this operation, and we are to continue on those line of actions in this operation.
We have seen that a lot of improvement on the security situation in the country, more especially in Zamfara and Benue states. If you go along the Niger Delta also, the same thing. But in the northeast, we are having worrisome report, which we looked into critically and we are taking also decision on it.
The meeting was the first official assignment by the president as he resumes from vacation. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
The 81 Division Inter-Brigade Warrant Officers and Non-Commissioned Officers Competition 2018 has ended with a charge to the men and officers of the Nigerian Army to always engage in regular training exercise so as to keep fit and carry out their duties in a professional manner. Lukman Adefeshaw reports that the competition was held at the 35 Artillery Brigade Command, Abuja. The report is here presented.
Globally, the quality of training received by any military formation determines the level of security such society can get to adequately win the war against terrorism and other forms of insecurity. The 81 Division Nigerian Army held the inter-brigade competition for warrant officers and non-commissioned officers, where the officers were exposed to rigorous training which included weapon handling, swimming, map reading and obstacle crossing, which lasted for 4 days. The exercise, among others, was to exhibit the spirit of togetherness, gallantry and fitness. The General Commanding Officer, 81 Division, represented by its Chief of Staff, Brigadier General Joseph Ogbuna, expressed satisfaction with the whole exercise, adding that aims and objectives of the competition have been achieved.
Because if a soldier is not physically fit, there is no way he can withstand the rigors of whatever role he's deployed to perform. So training to fight and physical fitness is all about it. If you are not physically strong, if you don't have that endurance, there's no way you can survive it.
He reaffirmed that the Army will continue to progress in training to meet up with the vision of the Chief of Army Staff. At the end, 9th Brigade emerged first, followed by the host 35 Artillery Brigade Alamala, while 45 Brigade Engineering and 81 Division Garrison clinched 3rd and 4th positions respectively.
Federal government writes FIFA recognizing Amaju Pinnick as NFF president, with Novak Djokovic going to US Open as Cincinnati Masters champion. Amanzi Marcus has details on Sports Update.
Following the protracted leadership tussle in the football ruling body in Nigeria, the country Monday averted a FIFA ban, with the federal government releasing a statement recognizing the Amaju Pinnick-led board of NFF as the only Nigeria Football Federation Executive Committee. FIFA had given Nigerian government up to Monday, August 20 as deadline to stop undue interference in the affairs of NFF or risk a ban. The federal government statement on the Twitter handle of the senior special assistant to the Vice President Laolu Akonde said government will continue to work with stakeholders towards resolving the dispute in a timely manner. The federal government says it is upholding NFF treaty obligations, providing platform for the youth to excel as he welcomed home the victorious team Nigeria that won gold at the recently concluded Satuk World Cup in Sofia, Bulgaria. John Utaka Foundation sponsored the team. The footballers defeated Liberia 4-0 in the final to lift the trophy in the 5-a-side competition, where representatives from 16 countries competed and is meant for underprivileged members of the society.
There is no better feeling than to represent your country.
Five-time runner-up of the Cincinnati Masters, Novak Djokovic, at last won the title on Sunday in the 2018 final. The 31-year-old Serb triumphed over 7-time champion Roger Federer in 2 sets of 6-4, 6-4. The victory is a morale booster for Novak Djokovic ahead of the last Grand Slam of the season, the US Open, which begins on August 27. The Sports Update, Amanzi Marcus, NTA News.
And now we take a quick look at the weather picture across the country.